Have you ever wondered why a lot of slasher movies got a lot of sequels or some sequels and a lot of other ones got no sequels? Yeah, me neither, because the answer is definitely money. But that does not mean that there weren't some great slashers that never got sequels that fans really appreciated for whatever reason. Like, the guy who made it didn't have money, or movie didn't make money. People who had money wouldn't give that money to other people to do the thing that we like with the movie. The one guy had some money, and he said he was gonna give it to the other guy, but he didn't give him that money. Crazy, he didn't give him that money. I'm looking at you, money. You're cold. Folks, you've got Rob from Terror at Synth High, and today we're talking about 5 great slasher movies that should have had a double up.
Oh boy, the microphone hated when I did that.
So when looking at influences from horror movies, like we do on this channel, one of the most direct forms of that is the sequel. It's taking something that was from the heart of the movie and making it into more movie. And in the 80s, the slasher movie was a cash cow. It was quick to make, generally. It was cheap to make, generally. And it could be replicated pretty easily. Of course, this led to market saturation, and it led to a lot of the better examples of this, of, actual good movies with good, characters or scenery or kills or just, very good art effects, special effects, all of these kind of things, interesting plots, sometimes not being the reason that a movie was successful or not. More often than not, what would make these movies successful or not successful would be who they were picked up by, and how they were distributed. Now, on top of that, movies weren't really able to be seen outside of theaters very practically until VHS became a household thing. And that was really towards more of the end of the slasher movie boom, which, slasher movie boom to me was between like 1980 and like 85 or so. So yeah, a lot of great slasher movies that were fun and entertaining got the shaft at the time through no fault of their own. So here's 5 great 80s slasher movies that I think could have had great sequels as well. The caveat here is could have. I don't want to see them making sequels to these movies now. It's like a whole different time period and feeling to them and filming style. Just wouldn't be the same. Except for one of them that I think could still have a sequel today and be pretty damn cool. All right. Oh, wait. There's going to be some major spoilers here. Just want to make sure you know that. The very nature of this list is going to be talking about the first movie and why it should have a second one. So yeah, note that if you hear the movie and you haven't seen the movie, I think you should see the movie. That's why I'm talking about wanting to have more movie. So yeah, it gets my highest recommendation. Okay, go on. Starting off the list in no particular order is The Burning from 1981. The Burning has hands down one of the coolest killers in a movie that didn't make any sequels, and that is Cropsy. In the movie, Cropsy is an alcoholic camp caretaker with giant shears. Who's always cruel to the kids, and then they play a prank on him and ends up going wrong, and he ends up on fire. From how the movie plays out, he didn't like being on fire. He kills a bunch of kids. Special effects, filming, and makeup in this movie are all great. Special effects and makeup, of course, were done by Tom Savini, so it's not really very surprising that they were great. Another thing that people don't really talk about too much with this movie, I see, is that there's actually 2 final guys in this movie instead of a final girl, which is a little bit interesting. It's actually one final guy, and then he kind of saves the other guy who ends up helping him to kill Cropsy in the end. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of continue that on, because you don't see it as much. That aside, though, I think this movie just deserved another go because its character was so cool. Looked so cool. He was such an evil bastard. I think, look, if Jason can come back after getting struck by lightning and just ba-boom, then McDude here deserves another go, even if they burn the crap out of him a couple times. I might be a little bit partial here because the Cropsy story came from an urban legend from upstate New York, and that's where I'm from. Upstate-ish New York. If you're from New York, you know what that means. If you're not, it's not the city. Well, I could tell you or I could show you. So check it out. Guys, you've got Rob from Terror at Synth High, and today we're in upstate New York in the beautiful Catskill Mountains. We are actually on top of Giant Ledge now, which is in the Phoenicia Big Indian area. That's the town it's from. So this part of the Catskill Mountains, in general, the Catskill Mountains from New York are the kind of things where the Cropsey legend, who is the killer in that inspired The Burning as well as Madman, movies like that, came from upstate New York urban legends. So we're here today, and like I said, if you are from a city area, this is, what a lot of the areas around me, around where I grew up, a little higher than where I grew up, look like. It's kind of hard to see on film, I think, just how, breathtaking this view is. It never really translates as much on film, I feel, but you can see how something like this desolate kind of area would inspire movies like that. So I'm going to finish my hike up. I'm going to try not to get killed. That'd be awesome. Yeah, camp slashers, man. Can't beat that shit. I don't buy the shit. The killers don't get tired. This is stupid. Indeed, you cannot beat that shit, you foul-mouthed man. Which brings us to our other backwoods slasher movie on the list, Madman. Well, Madman was originally based on the same story that The Burning was from Cropsey. I believe that they found out they were doing something at the same time that The Burning was being made, and so things changed a little bit with how they had portrayed the villain, and I think that worked out for the best because Paul Ehlers plays Madman Mars in this movie, and I couldn't have it any other way. Madman Mars is a murderer who murdered his family and was supposed to stand trial for this and supposed to be hung, but got out of that. Legend has it, he escaped to the woods. And if you say his name above a whisper, he's coming for you. So the movie starts off with this legend already built into it, kind of like a Bloody Mary type of deal or something like that. Is the movie going to win originality for, the most complex story or anything like that? No, of course not. But that's not what slasher movies are about. How it excels is with Paul Ehlers playing Madman Mars, creeping around, and he has this dark atmosphere all around him. He's up in trees, he's coming out of the shadows, and the camera work really works there too. Another thing that really works about this movie, this is the one that I said would really probably still work now, because Madman Mars in the movie looks great, and he's an older dude, and it's been years since that movie, and Paul Ehlers encapsulates this character. I've seen him at conventions before. I've talked to him before. Great guy, and he loves this character, and he could still do it. And that's what would be really cool. You would have the original guy playing this role and doing something that I know he loves and showing the world more Madman, which they missed sorely for a while until this movie finally got its recognition that it deserved not really that too many years ago. So yeah, Madman 2, I say still bring this one on. I don't know, at the end of the first one, the house burns down that he was in that was connected to him and his family. Maybe that means he's not connected to these woods anymore. Maybe he goes out other places. Maybe survivors have to warn other people about him. I don't know. Just some ideas. More Madman. Switching gears and jumping right into it, Slaughter High. Come on, man. Slaughter High with Marty. That needs a sequel. Needed a sequel. I don't want to see this one anymore. Slaughter High is a great mix of 80s cheese along with some great, fun, interesting kills that were pretty dark at some times too. The antagonist in this one, Marty, is a high school nerd who is bullied by other students, and then in a prank gone wrong, he gets burned on his face by acid and then comes back for his revenge. God damn it, this is The Burning in a high school. Also, this movie actually has a lot in common with another movie from the later 70s called Class Reunion Massacre, which is kind of a proto-slasher movie. Really good. Check that one out, too. So why does this one need a sequel again, then? Well, it does have things in common with both of those movies, as well as other slasher movies. It's got a lot of things that are different, too, just the way it plays out. It's got the 80s cheesiness to it that took place more in the later 80s. This movie knew what it was doing. It was a slasher movie. It was, joking around a little bit about it being a slasher movie, I feel, and they added in some other stuff, too. Like at the end, he's having these kind of hallucinations. So a different kind of art style with it. Not to say that that wasn't done in other earlier slasher movies as well, but it's got that later 80s feel, and I feel like they could have went on with that and made Marty into a character. It also kind of makes sense for the movie. At the end of the movie, he's hallucinating that all these other bullies are coming back to kill him after he has killed them. And then he ends up in the hospital. He's obviously going crazy, or has already been crazy, you know, because he's killing people. You shouldn't kill people. It's not, you know? But when he's in the hospital, in the final scene, the doctor is explaining to him that the grafts are starting to take with his face. Like the burning. God damn it! Unlike that, though, he rips all of it off of his face, showing that he doesn't want to be healed anymore. He's pissed off. He's still mad at these bullies that he already killed. He kills a doctor, supposedly to escape the hospital. So where's he going to go? Yeah, he's going to kill some more people. So let's see him doing it. It was good the first time. Yeah, don't kill people. We just talked about this. But he can, and that'd be fine. I'd watch it. Marty could have been a fun 80s slasher that continued to do more slashing and that people could relate to in ways. It was already a little bit of goofiness in there, so I think it really would have weathered well with the later 80s slashers that were to come. So, missed opportunity. Slasher movies in the 80s took place in a lot of the same places. You had your woods, backwoods, and camp slashers. You had your campus slashers and your high school ones. You had your ones at Terror at Synth High. Subscribe. It's not a movie, just please subscribe. It's down there somewhere. These are my normal socks. Please subscribe. Like this wasn't even for this video. I noticed this when I checked one of the takes. God damn it, please subscribe. You know, no socks better than these socks. Why am I still wearing these? Just kidding, I got sock money, I don't need you. Subscribe! However, only a small grouping of slasher movies in the 80s had filming locations and settings that were really unique, and one of those was the Funhouse. And on top of the fact that this movie had a great atmosphere and location that was interesting, as well as having great direction from Tobe Hooper, and a lot of other great things about this movie, one other reason that it really could use a sequel is that it would make sense for the movie. See, the movie centers around carnies that are in a carnival that is always going from location to location. The carnival never stays anywhere for too long, so it would make sense that if there was this degenerate son to this carnival barker that would go off and do these things that were dangerous and kill people or whatever else, that they would just split town. So the son who has two faces and is mutated and, you know, doing all these things gets crushed at the end of the movie by gears, electrocuted. So what? Worst things have happened to slasher movie villains. They could build them back up. That could be part of the sideshow thing, right? Like that would also fit into the movie. I think so long as they kept Kevin Conway, who was the father of the son, and as long as they kept the character of the son, who had the guy with the double faces and the Frankenstein mask, yeah, I think this could have been a cool sequel, right? And they could have kept that same location, put it someplace else, had some different, you know, dark ride kind of stuff in it, and yeah, should have kept that train a-rolling. Speaking of which, Terror Train is another one with a really cool, interesting atmosphere. She's not going to make a sequel to that. Where's it going to be a double train? It's too stupid even for me. I mean, bring the guy back like 7 times. That's fine. That fits into the, you know, the thing. But, you know, we're not having 2 trains. You out of your mind? Yeah, nah, I'd watch it. We'll call that one a bonus one, I guess. Whatever. And finally, for today, the last slasher movie that never got a sequel from the 80s that I think should have is definitely My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine is one of my favorite movies of the time period. Not only does it have great kills that were deleted from it originally and then restored afterwards, but it's got, again, some great atmosphere, a very interesting location being in the mines and all. But it's got an interesting story too, and it tells a story of not just, you know, kids that are, you know, running around the high school or something like that, but about these young adults that are in this depressed town, and it really gives the flavor of a depressed town. Now, I could go on about this movie for a long time, but to break it down to why I think it deserved a sequel is, again, I think it would have made sense for the movie. At the end of the movie, Axel Palmer ends up running into the mine, losing his arm, and he's the one who is killing everybody through the movie, taking on the works of Harry Warden. It would only make sense that the town would want to take care of this problem. It was a depressed mining town, and this was their means of putting food on their plates. Without being able to go down in the mine and having to worry all the time that, you know, somebody was going to go pick them off, albeit Axel Palmer, who hated the town. Yeah, that would be something that would, be best to take care of. Plus, the mayor would be all about it. His son just came back home and was almost killed. So yeah, I think it just kind of makes sense for the movie. So I think an interesting direction for this could have been, they'd have a posse that goes down into the mines. You keep Don Franks as Chief Newbie because he was awesome in that, and he could, kind of be like, oh, I dealt with this before, because he did. And then they could, have cat and mouse games in the mines that made the first movie so cool, going back and forth. Axel Palmer was always, kind of creeping up on people, right, and picking them off, and it was that kind of, stalking aspect to it. Now, on the other hand, he did lose his arm, so it's going to be pretty difficult for him. But it's a slasher movie, sticks that in there, cauterizes it, got a pickaxe arm, that'd be cool. Why not? So that was my list of some slasher movies from the 80s that I think, could have deserved some sequels and some fun ways to go about them. Now, at the end of the day, do I really wish all these sequels would have happened? Might have ruined the magic of the first movie to begin with. But it's fun to, go back and think about this kind of stuff. But what do you guys think? What else? What other slasher movies would have been cool with other sequels? What slasher movies had sequels that you thought should have gone in a different direction? Always want to hear from you guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and I'll be talking to you soon. What? Huh? No, I ripped them. It was for the video. It was like a thing. It was like, I'm like, oh, I subscribe and rip my socks. It was a stupid thing. Yeah, I don't have socks. Thanks.